More than 70 people from across East Texas have been indicted on drug charges today. Local, state, and federal authorities are trying to end a rash of methamphetamine rings in East Texas. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us.
38 people involved in methamphetamine in East Texas are behind bars today as agents from several local, state, and federal drug task force made a massive drug sweep early this morning. 71 indictments were issued for suspects in 7 counties as a result of the methamphetamine investigation. 21 have been arrested on federal charges and 17 have been arrested on state charges, all for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamines. The suspects were rounded up and taken to the Army National Guard Armory in Henderson. A press conference was held at the Armory announcing the results of the investigation. On display were guns and drugs that were confiscated during the arrests. And with these arrests, drug officials hope to...
With the help of the locals, we'll go anywhere you're distributing dope and we'll put you in jail. If you're willing to take the risk, we will go after you and put you in jail.
Mercado says the major distributors in this investigation were based out of Dallas. A further investigation is now expanding beyond this area. All federal prisoners have been taken to the Smith County Jail, while all state prisoners are being held at the Rusk County.
70 warrants and the federal roundup also netted weapons and drugs, all evidence of what agents say is a growing problem in the Metroplex. NBC5's Jay Gray with more tonight from Rusk County.
Everybody stand over against that wall, guys.
50% of them, these people were armed. These are dangerous people.
Serving more than 70 warrants, federal agents ended a 6-month undercover investigation, seizing guns and drugs and clamping down on what they believe are 3 of the largest methamphetamine rings in the state.
If you're doing dope, no matter where you go, we'll track you down.
Even here, where DEA agents say the quiet rural appearance helped to hide a very real problem.
It's becoming like a trampoline. The drugs are coming in here from the borders, and from this part of the country is going to other parts.
Much of it apparently bouncing into North Texas. While it's heroin that's captured much of the media spotlight and attention from local police agencies, federal agents say another deadly drug is pushing into our area, and much of it is coming from right here in East Texas. Meth suppliers, dealers, even users are a tough group to catch, in part agents say because they can be so mobile.
It's an easy method to make, it's cheap to make, and it's easy. You can make it any place. You don't need a big warehouse to make it. You can make it any place. You can make it in a basement. You can make it in a hotel.
So just how big is the problem? Well, agents say their investigation in Rusk County has spawned several others across Texas. In Henderson, Jay Gray, NBC.
A 7-county drug raid puts dozens of drug dealers behind bars. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Brian Houston has the night off.
More than 6 months of undercover operations have led to one of the biggest drug raids in East Texas history.
The result, more than 40 East Texans under arrest. Lynn Stewart's been following the story. Lynn, how many people are the officers looking at?
Kelly, a total of 71 people are indicted on federal and state charges for dealing drugs. The narcotics officers say it could be days before they're all arrested. More than 40 people in 7 East Texas counties are under arrest this evening. It's all part of a 6-month-long undercover investigation.
And again, the motto is, if you're doing dope, no matter where you go, we'll track you down.
The drugs are methamphetamines. The task force says during the investigation, they made approximately 70 undercover drug buys from multiple dealers. They say most of them were armed. Today, the task force held a press conference to say they've got the peddlers. Now they're going after the suppliers.
The focus of this is just small towns, small areas that are being infected. It's like cancer. It's being eaten. Cancer is eating certain of these towns, and what we're trying to do is cure it and give it back to the people.
Approximately 6 people were arrested here in Smith County, and at least one of those is from Tyler. One of the alleged drug dealers lived right here in Green Acres Park, a neighborhood residents say they moved to get away from crime, a neighborhood just 2 blocks away from Hubbard Middle School. The noise of the arrest woke several neighbors up.
They woke me up this morning, the noise did, and but we didn't know what was going on.
We've lived here, as I told you, a little bit over 2 years, and we thought we had moved to a very safe place.
I can't believe it. I really can't.
As part of the investigation, $106,000 worth of stolen property was also recovered.
Well, Lynn, in talking to the officers, do they think that today's raid's going to have a big impact on drug distribution here in East Texas?
Yes, Chuck, they do. They say they've closed down 3 large distribution networks, but as long as there is a demand for the drugs, someone will find a way to supply them.
Night has crippled 3 of the largest methamphetamine dealers in the state. Agents say today's bust will slow the influx of drugs into North Texas. A 6-month undercover investigation resulted in more than 70 warrants and a stash of guns and drugs. Drugs police believe were making their way to North Texas.
What you're looking at is an area where it's becoming like a trampoline. The drugs are coming in here from the borders, and from this part of the country is going to other parts.
The agents say while the focus has been on heroin in North Texas recently, methamphetamine use has quietly been growing in our area.
11 News reporter Mike Tobin shows us how officers took apart 3 networks pushing methamphetamines.
The materials look the same as drug busts we've seen before. Guns and paraphernalia seized, the dealers walking around in cuffs.
I need a lawyer.
What was different is the location. Little homes in rural towns in 7 counties around Dallas.
Well, I was surprised that that we had the number of defendants we had in this case.
The drug was different too, speed or methamphetamine, reinforcing what the DEA has known for a while now, that the Californian and Mexican methamphetamine producers are using Dallas as a distribution point.
These people will move into a community and they start taking over. As you notice, this was 7 counties, and these people all originated. The major focus was, the major distributors were in Dallas.
Methamphetamine is made in makeshift labs. Users achieve a euphoria and will stay awake for days at a time in pursuit of it until they eventually break down.
You may think it's surprising, such a big drug raid in such a rural area. But the people who live out here in Henderson, right next to where one of the busts was made, say they knew something was going on.
Well, I wish they'd picked them up a year or 2 years ago. That's what it should have happened when they started.
Now police officers and drug agents say they have some of them off the street as they work to keep big city drugs out of the small towns. In Henderson, Mike Tobin, 11 News.
Police officers say they've picked up 41 dealers, but they were looking for 70. So in the next several days, they will try to arrest the remaining 29.
10.
An East Texas drug investigation produces scores of arrests and thousands of dollars in drugs and stolen property. It's a bust that drug officials hope puts a dent in the distribution of methamphetamines in this area. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jillian Kirk.
And I'm Joe Terrell. Drug agents from several local, state, and federal agencies are wrapping up a 6-month undercover drug investigation, and they're calling it one of the largest methamphetamine busts ever in East Texas. They made a massive drug sweep early this morning, putting an end to 3 large distribution networks. 71 indictments were issued for suspects in 7 counties as a result of this investigation. 21 have been arrested on federal charges and 17 have been arrested on state charges. The remainder of the arrests are expected to be made in the next couple of days. All are being charged with conspiracy to distribute methamphetamines. The suspects were rounded up and taken to the Army National Guard Armory in Henderson. A press conference was held at the Armory announcing the results of the investigation. On display were guns and drugs that were confiscated as part of more than $100,000 in stolen property. Drug officials are hoping these arrests send a strong message.
We, DEA, with the help of the locals, will go anywhere you're distributing dope and we'll put you in jail. If you're willing to take the risk, we will go after you and put you in jail.
Mercado says the major distributors in this investigation were based out of Dallas. A further investigation is now expanding beyond
indictments. More than half were arrested during the course of today's drug sweep. Cops also found more than $100,000 in stolen property and a bunch of guns. The crackdown is part of a 6-month sting operation spanning 7 counties, including Dallas.
Lately, there's been a lot of attention to heroin problems in the area, and today drug agents turned up the heat on another deadly drug. 7 law enforcement agencies mobilized around 7 rural counties, arresting 41 suspected methamphetamine dealers. DEA says this shows meth or speed isn't just a big city problem.
Small areas that are being infected, it's like cancer. It's being eaten. Cancer is eating certain of these towns, and what we're trying to do is cure it and give it back to the people.
Drug agents say they broke up 3 major distribution rings, all of which can be traced to Dallas.